Hmm.
Okay. What did you learn about standards of beauty based on culture?
Um, what did you learn on culture?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting because Asians, it's very common among Asian countries that they wanted to be white. That's why when you go to any Asian countries, they have all those whitening lotion, whitening soap, whitening whatever. But the one that we saw, in example in Korea, that they really go extreme. So they have bleaching, they do plastic surgery and all that. But generally among Asians, that's the mentality. They really like to be white.
I learned that they're all really different. Even like even the first reading about or no, yeah, the first reading from the root.com article or whatever where it talks about beauty
The black
from
lady.
the black lady. And even like the very beginning of that when they were talking about how the someone had like posted something or whatever saying how like it was like a skinny white girl or whatever and she was like thinking that everyone in this yoga class was like thinking like wishing they could look like her or whatever.
I
And
think
then
I
the
saw
black
that.
people are like, what the heck?
I think I saw that actual that thing that they're talking about.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think because there's like this. She was like really overweight black lady in a yoga class, but she was like killing it. And she like showed us like she like there's like a video of her doing all the poses, but she's like not the ideal like black. Like she's not the ideal like skinny yoga white girl. So I could see how she'd get judged.
Yeah. And I thought it was funny how like they said like the white person thought that she was like being looked at as like beautiful and like what like the black lady would hope to be or whatever. But then the black lady was thinking completely different. That just like goes to show how beauty is completely like the way you think. It's not like a definitive thing, like a standard like among all nations or whatever. It's like
Mhm.
completely subjective.
Yeah. It just made me think of the quote, "Beauty is in the eye of the beholder."
Yeah,
Mm.
definitely.
And I learned that culture can be passed, just like you guys say. And then we usually will admiration something like in Asian, we tend to wanna have a light skin, and then but the opposite in California, a lot of girls would like to get tanned. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm thinking because of the media, the standard of beauty scenes, um, they will have a basic, not basic, how can I say? They will have a standard to to think what is beauty, like the shape and then the skin and then the yeah everything.
Is there overlap? I don't get that question.
Overlap.
I think
I
I
get it. Overlap between cultures.
I
Mhm.
think so. I
Okay.
think that's what it's saying.
Yeah, so I I I think when when we read the song Fat Brown Woman and the Black One, there's
The fact.
something in there's something in common between the two. They both watched Miss Universe in the television, and that was then they became to be conscious about their body size. Like for example, the brown woman, after she watched the Miss Universe, and then she called to her sister that they have to fix their dumb scale, and she became like aware. And I see that overlap because Miss Universe is a pageant participated by many countries, and nobody in that pageant is a fat woman. So everyone is like skinny, and that shows the overlap in the standard of beauty among all other nations to be skinny.
Yeah, I think there's overlap in like in lots of Asian countries, like
Mm-hmm.
not just in Korea, in Japan and in the Philippines too. They think that fair is beautiful.
Yes, we do.
And I think like I don't even know where that came from or like why that
All
is.
because
Shh.
Because why? What does he say? What does he have to say about that?
tell you.
Oh, tell us.
Well, if you have darker skin.
If you have darker
If you
skin,
have darker skin, if people would think in the old days that you work in the farm.
oh, if you have darker skin, then you're poorer and you worked in the farm back in the olden days. But if
Oh.
you have lighter
Light
skin,
skin,
then
you're
you
more
can
like above
afford
average. Like
you can afford to
more like
stay
a noble,
inside.
kind of like that.
That's the same way they thought in like the 1600s or whatever. Weren't we reading about that? They thought the same way, and people would like powder their faces to look fair.
Yeah, I feel like Japanese people go to like an extreme with their whiteness. Like when they come to visit, they have like gloves and they have umbrellas, and then
Yeah, true.
even like the geishas, they have like super. Yeah, they paint their faces like
Mm.
so
Like
white.
Mulan.
I feel like it's I don't know.
In Korea, it's the same. Yeah.
And then in
Mm.
like lots of black cultures, skinny isn't beautiful. Not just
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
not just in like American black culture, but I feel like in like African villages and like super native Africans. I don't know. I don't know what to call them.
I feel like
Yeah.
that's kind of the same in like the islands as well. Like super skinny
Yeah,
people aren't super attractive. Like
and
it
fair
even
is not pretty at all.
yeah. I remember I think it was last semester in my ward, one of the guys, I think he's like half Tongan, he got up and he was saying how when he was back home, his mom, the Tongan one, was like saying like you better not marry like some skinny chicken like white girl is what she said because like that's not beautiful to them like super skinny like so I think that's interesting because then in like on the mainland it is super like if you're white like it's attractive to be like super skinny like that and lots of people think it's attractive.
Yeah. And then
So
even the
interesting.
European culture and like American culture, their definition of beauty overlaps too. Like skinny, tall, model,
Mhm.
beautiful. Especially I think like in Europe, it's a big deal. And here, I mean in the US, not here, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think
What?
I think
Okay,
you like what you don't have.
I don't.
that's true. Thanks for that point, babe.
And I
Unless you're
think
like a
you
thick
deserve
black lady, you still like being thick and black.
Yeah.
Actually, I think just like Holy husband say, I don't like the point that the perception we are thinking about how can I say, like Asian would think because if your skin is dark, like they may be working at the farm, just in just use this applying to the black people. In Africa, they are always in the lower class, and also they they usually are not really rich, and then so people might will have a impress impression about African um, fat, and then they will think about the slave and then lower class for the history that they're slave a long time, and then they have been a lower class for a long time. So I'm thinking about this thing, and then so it maybe um, will make people have some discrimination to the bad the the fat black woman. Just like from that poems, it says yeah.
I love the poems.
Oh really? Didn't find it. Okay, never mind. Where's not that. This one. Hmm. Here. From the best new museum poems, it says when the fat brown woman hops on the bus, the girls and boys whisper, and men and women whisper, and children and cat whisper and whisper. I'm thinking about this whisper because of her skin and then her shape and then and because of the history, lower class and slave, and then people will have a perception that oh she may be not really good uh, at her I don't know everything.
I was confused at that part. I feel like that that poem, that woman, she has
Mm-hmm.
like this confidence. So I thought that when they like whispered about her, I thought that that was because um they're just like in awe of her. But I wasn't sure if it was because they were in awe of her, if it was because they are talking poorly about her. But I feel like everyone in the poem thinks that she's pretty. Yeah. So I don't really sorry.
It's okay.
So should we go on to the next question?
Yeah.
Do certain standards translate? I don't think that's right. Do certain standards translate from one culture to another or not? I think we
Uh,
just answered that. Um,
Yeah, I think we did too. I think we can go to the next one.
yeah. So
How do hegemonic racial standards of beauty affect the way people think about themselves or how others think about them? Think body shape, think race and culture, think skin tone. I think kind of the same as what we were talking about before. Like if like something is considered beautiful where you're from, then that affects the way you think about yourself because you'll try to like live up to that expectation. like how in the first article it talked about how like the black people are like their standards of beauty are like more curvy and like having a big butt and stuff, and so people went to like extreme measures with like the butt injections and stuff. Like people will think really lowly about themselves if they don't meet the standard of beauty that is like brought about by their society, and I think will go through like extreme measures to make themselves beautiful in the eyes of society so that they can feel beautiful about themselves.
Like those girls from the other two poems we read, the Barbie doll and the beauty poems.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's scary how much like people are willing to like destroy themselves in order to make others happy,
Mm-hmm.
especially physically, and like it just is like so accepted in our society today.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's true. If you ever see the woman who cut three pairs of her ribs just to have the super small waistline, that's really extreme.
Yeah. And then
And
like, oh, go for it.
I was just thinking like how sad it is for like little girls to have that kind of pressure, and I feel like the pressure just gets more and more intense as like time goes on. And there's not a lot of people like that lady in the poem of the Songs of the Fat Woman. Is it the Polynesian lady?
That one's the black. Oh no, yeah, that's the brown one.
Yeah, that one. I love
Uh-huh.
her so much because she's like, I love how it says like she doesn't lie and she tells you the truth. And I feel like that whole poem, she like doesn't care at all about what others think of her, but she has like she has like this confidence in herself and is willing. I'm not willing, but she just I don't know, just like I feel like confidence is like such a beautiful thing, and just like the way she like looks at people or talks to people or expresses her emotions. I feel like that's like what we need in our society, but that rarely happens.
True. I agree. I was gonna say something, but I can't remember what it was.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Should we go to the next question?
Yeah.
Do the speakers in the poems think about their appearance in positive or negative ways relative to different standards of beauty? I don't really get that question. Do the speakers in the poem think about their appearance in positive or negative ways relative to different standards of beauty?
I think that the Polynesian lady likes the way she looks. I think she thinks she's beautiful by just like her walk and her swaying of her hips and like her um, attitude towards people who wink at her. I don't know.
I think the black one too.
Yeah.
She like when she's watching the Miss World competition or whatever, and she's like
Mhm.
waiting for someone like her to like win it, and then at the end she pours herself some gin, toasting herself as a likely win. Like I think she thinks of herself positively, even though like it says in the question, relative to different standards of beauty, like the Miss pageant for both of those people and both of those writers in the poem, those are like completely different standards of beauty to how like they are and how they were raised to see things as beautiful. So I think they both still think that their parents like think about it in a positive way.
Yeah. Didn't they both mention that? They both mentioned that they were watching the Miss Universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of strange, but funny. I don't know. And then I realized I thought it was written by the same person, but it's not. Just because they're like, is it? I don't know. Never mind.
No, you're right. I thought the same thing, but there's both like a part where they both talk about the Miss Universe. And I think that's interesting because the Miss Universe is supposed to be like this like a universal standard of beauty, but it's not. And you see that as you see the both of the different women watching it and how they both
Yeah.
feel beautiful, but on TV it's like this like one universal standard of beauty, which is like super skinny. Maybe skin tones are different in it, but like I feel like that's about as far as it goes.
That's so true. I never thought about that. Because are those women that represent their country really beautiful in their country? I feel like they're beautiful for that competition, but
Uh-huh. Even Miss Samoa in the pageant, she's like this like super skinny. In last year's pageant, she's like this
wasn't
thick,
there like a
thin.
big controversy about that?
I don't know. I feel like there should have been because she's like this tiny, skinny person, and that's not
Yeah.
even.
I saw her Instagram and like people were like, "You're not even." I don't know. Maybe yeah, because she is like too skinny. There's like people commenting on her things. They're like, "You need to gain some weight and you don't look like you eat." But she wasn't like sickly skinny. She just like your basic average Miss Universe skinny.
Yeah, but then when compared to the standard of beauty in Polynesian culture, it's like too skinny. So that's interesting.
Yeah. And I was surprised this year. Did you guys see the Miss Universe, the Miss Japan? She's
Mhm.
black. She's
Really?
half black. Yeah, she's half black and half Japanese. And people are like
Interesting.
losing their minds in Japan. They're like, "You're not even Japanese." But she like has like a Japanese accent and she speaks Japanese fluently. She's born and raised in Japan.
That's crazy.
But people are losing their minds.
I feel like in that like that the whole that like universal standard of beauty, the only way they make it universal is by changing your skin tone. Like the because everything else they all look exactly the same. They just like they just have like racial differences, but I feel like there's not very much cultural differences that are like brought out besides the like clothes they're wearing. But other
Yeah.
than that, it's just like skin tone and maybe like eye shape and stuff like that. But it's never like a body shape that's different.
Yeah, that's so true. Ugh. So I feel like in Miss Universe they all morphed to like European standards of beauty.
Yeah, I agree.
Should we do the next question?
Yeah. What kind of image do they create of themselves based on these different standards of beauty? Uh, just who understands that question?
I feel like I've been talking a lot.
So what kind of image do the speakers in the poem create of themselves based on these different standards of beauty? So I guess the different standards of beauty that they see in the Miss Universe pageant? Is that what it's asking? What kind of image do they create for themselves based on these different standards of beauty?
I don't know. I feel like Well, I don't know.
I feel like maybe because if you look at the titles of both of the poems, they both refer to themselves as fat. So the Fat Black Woman's poems and Songs of the Fat Brown Women. I think I feel like they're only fat when, because like you're only ever something when compared to something else. So they're only fat when they're comparing themselves to skinny people. So maybe when it says what kind of image do they create of themselves based on these different standards of beauty. So maybe it's only within like watching the Miss Universe pageant or whatever that they see those different standards of beauty, which is like skinniness and everything else. So the image that they create of themselves is fat brown woman or fat black woman. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I also think the same way because when we read the poem, after she watched the beauty pageant, that's the time she called her sister to fix the weighing scale. She became more aware that she's fat.
So actually, may I ask you guys if someone say you are fat, and do you think it's negative? Do you feel
Uh,
it's really
yes.
negative?
I do too.
Yes.
So
I
why?
hate it when people call you fat.
Mm-hmm. Why you
Are you
feel?
asking if
Oh,
you
I feel negative thing. You feel sad.
do I think that it's negative?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, well, like my husband's from the Philippines. Yeah, yeah, and it's like I don't know, lots of. I feel like it's custom pretty much. Like if someone gains weight, they'll just be like, "Hey, you got fat." Not like, okay, but I don't like, but they don't take it offensively. I think it all depends, like your culture and like your like beauty standards.
I agree.
I,
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the same in Panama, they do the same thing. Like if someone's fat, they'll like refer to them as fat, just as like the same as they'd refer to someone that had brown eyes. Like they'd be like, "Oh, the one sitting next to the fat one." Like that's just the way they describe people, and no one really like takes offense to it. And so, but I think because we're like from where we're from,
so
it
sensitive Americans.
I know. But even I feel like being a girl, but then I guess being a girl in America, like because fat is such like a negative concept. Everywhere in the magazines, it's like how to lose weight. Like you grow up thinking that fat is like such a negative thing, and so it just feels negative if someone calls you that.
Yeah, that's true. So I guess it all depends on where you are in the world. Or
What about
my,
you, Jessica? Do you feel like it's negative?
I'm thinking about negative because I already have a beautiful standard. And then from the media
Yeah.
is that
and
normal for
then
people?
top model and something, both are really skinny. If we don't watch this, we we would not really feel offense on this word. Just like in Tongan, um the history is fat relative to beautiful, right? And then but because of the media changed a lot of things. One of my Tongan classmates before we did exercise class, and then she said she don't think overweight is mean beautiful. Her concept, she said, in her generation, some of the Tongan guys they do like skinny people. So I'm thinking because of the media, everything seems changed. And then, so these two prompts, the topic is really attractive. Fat brown, fat black woman, and then flat brown, yeah, woman.
Mm.
True.
Uh,
Have we been talking for half an hour?
yeah.
Yeah?
Okay, guys. It's been great fun.
Mhm.
Yay!
So,
Then-
Leia, you're gonna do the paper, yeah?
Yes.
I'll send you this link.
Okay.
Bye.
Do you have your... Yeah, perfect. See ya.
Okay, bye bye.